Hey everybody, this is Andrew with part 2 of the long gun weapon light series. So we left off on starting to get into some switches. Real quick, I think I skipped over this before. We have a new mount solution that we're offering now. This is an ADM throw lever mount. So for those of you that want to be able to quickly detach and quickly attach the light from the rifle, maybe you're bouncing back and forth the light between several different rifles of yours. It's a very simple throw lever. You push down on this little locking knob, and then you can take it off, and to mount it, you simply just crank it back on. And that's the ADM throw lever mount. We're offering that on a couple different scout light options, mini scout and full-size scout, and also a vampire. So getting into the switching options that we have, there are several different options. The scout light, the standard tail cap that the scout light comes with is what we call the Z68. Now that's just a part number. Basically what it is a shrouded push button click type tail cap. Now it's shrouded to prevent white light negligent discharges, so if you transition from your rifle to your pistol, or the rifle's just hanging around and bumping into things, the light's not going to accidentally discharge because the switch is protected. It's a click type switch, meaning that you can click it all the way on for constant on. Now this click type switch you can also use, and this is a very common question, in momentary mode. There's a lot of travel in this click switch, so you can very easily use it in momentary mode consistently and not click it accidentally to activate it constant on. So if you're a momentary only type guy, this switch will work for you. Another technique that I've seen used on some of these shrouded tail caps is putting your thumb over both sides, and then you can't protrude in enough to even click it no matter how hard you push because you're bridging the gap. But that's our Z68 click switch, and that's the standard tail cap that comes on most of our scout lights. Additionally, a new switch that we just came out with is our DS switch. The DS stands for dual switch. It has both a port for our remote pressure switches. A remote pressure switch essentially is just a cabled item that you place somewhere on the firearm and you apply pressure to it and you can activate the light. I'll show you a couple different options in just a second. The other part of the DS, or the dual switch, is the click portion. So you can still have your momentary and your click. Now the idea behind this switch is redundancy. Pressure switches, being that it's a long piece of cable, they do have a tendency to get snagged on things and can break. Additionally, they will eventually wear out like tires on a car. They're made of rubber. If you push it and activate it and use it enough, it will wear out and it will need to be replaced. So with that in mind, you want to have an additional or a redundant way of activating that light if this is a life-saving device. So that's why there's an additional click switch on the product. So if your pressure switch goes down, you still have the method of activating the light directly. So that's our dual switch, pretty awesome option out there. You can rotate it depending on where you want the actual plug socket to come out and where you want the push button to put, so it's easiest to activate on your setup. Talking about some of these pressure switch options over here, I'll grab these three. So essentially, we have the ST switch. I'll talk about this one first. This is a momentary only pressure switch. You just press down here and it's momentary only. No matter how many times you press it, momentary only, you squeeze it. Typically you apply this with a Velcro tab that comes with the switch. So you use some alcohol on your gun, apply some adhesive backed Velcro to both parts, and then you can apply it there to anywhere you want on the gun, making it easy to, making it very ergonomic with the activation of your light. Just for your background information, there's a number. You've mostly probably seen the number that follows these switch numbers. So it's like ST07, SR07. That 07 is a length. That means it's a 7-inch cable. We do make a couple different lengths depending on what your application is. So, the 7 is the most common. That's most, by far the widest use depending on the various platforms. But if you need it a little bit longer, I know Scott Reitz out of ITTS, he uses some significantly longer cable switches on his bolt guns for night shooting. There's a 40-inch switch that we make specifically for law enforcement shields, so that if you're mounting a light over here, you can wrap it all the way to the handle on the back side and activate it via that method. So there's different lengths that we make. Next up is my personal favorite. This is the SR switch. So the SR switch has both a momentary pressure pad here, as well as a click dome switch here. So the click dome switch allows for constant on. Now, even if you're not a fan of constant on for a tactical application, I understand that completely. However, there are certain situations that a constant on switch is a nice feature to have. So I personally, I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Additionally, I like the fact that this switch has a rail grabbing feature molded into it. So what that means is you can slap this on to the 12 o'clock Picatinny rail. Most rails nowadays, even though they're slick-sided, be it M-LOK, Keymod, whatever, have a 12 o'clock rail for mounting lasers and sights. So this can slap on easily to the 12 o'clock position, and it's very conducive for my grip, which usually leaves my thumb on top of the rail anyways, and you simply squeeze down. You can put this with the dome switch forward or with the dome switch back, and you can still have the option of constant on activating the light as well via that dome switch. Another feature of the SR switch is there's a channel right here and right here for zip ties. So you can use small zip ties to secure the switch to your gun if you're working in austere environments where the gun might be bumped into a bunch of things, or the switch might become dislodged. It's held on very, very tight. However, I like at least one zip tie just for, again, redundancy, to make sure it's not going to go anywhere, and to make sure that when you go to activate the light, it's going to be there to be activated. Next up, Z.E.R.T. What this is a dual pad switch for both an at-peel laser aiming device, essentially, PEC 15, and I was going to say and a D-ball. That's a common question I might as well address. Although the D-ball plug socket is very similar to PEC 15s, it's not the same. So, we don't fully recommend this is ran in D-balls because it can be a bit intermittent in activation. You have to make sure it's oriented in the right location. So this is 100% intended for PEC 15s or at-PLCs by Insight. So that's a laser aiming device for night vision devices. It's both an illuminator and a laser. It also has a vis laser. The other plug is for our weapon lights. So this dual pad switch, one switch activates the weapon light and one switch activates the at-peel. So it's a good setup for those that want to be able to activate both units on the same pressure pad. Again, this is a rail grabbing molded product, so it can slap onto the 12 o'clock or whichever rail that you want, and it'll grab onto it, and you can secure it additionally via these channels intended for zip ties. So one last switching option that I'll quickly reference. For those that like to use or want to use a X series, one of our intended for handgun weapon lights, like the X300. In this case, it's the X300 VB, so it's a Vampire with the Bravo mount, the thumb screw mount. So if you're mounting this on a long gun, you might want to activate it via a pressure switch. And this is our XT accessory that allows the X300 lights to accept a pressure switch. So it mounts via the same method the battery door does. I'll just hook this on right here, and then you clip it on, and now I can plug in any one of my pressure switches and activate the light via that method. So pretty cool new product. For those of you wanting to run an X series on a long gun, the advantage would be you have a 6-volt or a 2-battery system, but it's very short in length. Because batteries are side by side, they're not stacked in a line, it keeps the overall length to a minimum while still providing the maximum output of 6 volts or 2 batteries. So I think that's it for our long gun weapon lights.
ZERT's mission is to support law-abiding citizens taking their skills to the next level. We provide training opportunities and a wealth of knowledge via ZERT's global network of like-minded individuals. Each ZERT member can take it as far as they wish to go. You can take part in ZERT training, ZERT online training, network with individuals in your area via the forums or private Facebook pages, attend meet and greets in your state or county, or have fun collecting the unique gear ZERT has to offer. We have members from all walks of life, and our emphasis is on creating a safe, fun, and mature community for all involved. When you think of ZERT, consider the term lifestyle. Lifestyle can denote the interests, opinions, behaviors, and behavioral orientations of an individual, group, or culture. By definition, ZERT is a lifestyle. ZERT's instructor cadre is made up of Special Forces instructors who use their vast knowledge and real-world experience to teach civilian members. ZERT's goal is to elevate the level of education and safety in the training industry. ZERT is not just an organization. It's a lifestyle. ZERTnation.com